You ever notice how the people who talk the loudest about community values are usually the first to try and take something that isn't theirs? Yeah, that's exactly how this whole mess started. My name's Kyler Thompson, and if you told me a year ago that moving into my dream home by a peaceful lake would turn into an all-out neighborhood war with the HOA president, I'd have said you've been watching too many reality shows. But hey, life's full of surprises, right? It all began on a Tuesday afternoon about 30 minutes after the moving truck rumbled off and I was still unpacking boxes, standing there, coffee in hand, feeling like just maybe I'd finally figured out the whole work-life balance thing. I'd spent 2 decades grinding in tech, saving up for this house wooden deck, stretching over the glassy lake, morning mist rolling in quiet except for the birds. Heaven, or so I thought. Then, bam, doorbell rings. Not a soul I know. And I definitely wasn't expecting what happened next. This woman just barrels right in, no knock, no greeting. Just storms through my door, marching straight for the big windows that face the lake, scanning me like she's auditioning for the role of small-town dictator. She looked me up and down like she was expecting to find some teenager throwing a party, not a tired, middle-aged guy who just wanted peace and quiet. This has to stop immediately, she snaps, not even making eye contact. I'm still in shock, trying to figure out what this is since I've been there for less than an hour. Turns out this meant me. More specifically, me daring to exist in her little fiefdom and apparently using the lake. I tried to explain lake access is on my deed. I paid extra for. It had the paperwork from the lawyer right on my kitchen counter. She didn't care, didn't even look at it. She slides this weird pre-printed voluntary lake access relinquishment agreement across the counter and taps a pen like she's some kind of mob boss. Sign it for community safety and property values, she commands. I almost laughed. Almost. When I told her I'd need to review the HOA bylaws and maybe talk to my lawyer, her face twisted like I'd just insulted her family. You have 24 hours. After that, we'll have to start daily inspections, violation notices, special assessment fees. Life gets complicated for people who don't cooperate. Then she slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. And just like that, I'd met Janet Hutchinson, Queen Bee of the Clearwater Lake HOA. Now here's the thing. Quiet people like me. We're quiet for a reason. Usually it's because we're busy or we've learned that it's better to watch and wait. I spent the whole night digging through public records, scanning every HOA meeting minute and deed. I found a pattern. 3 other families had voluntarily surrendered their lake rights since Janet became president. Every time it followed a series of petty violations and intimidation tactics. The deeper I dug, the clearer it got. This wasn't just some overzealous neighbor. This was a system, and Janet had been running it for years. The next morning, while I was out checking my property lines, I met Mrs. Clark, 79 years old, bright blue eyes, the kind of gentle voice that hides a mind sharp as a tack. She'd lived there for 26 years. When I mentioned Janet, the air turned cold. "You be careful with that woman," she whispered. Then told me about the Millers Parkers and Williams's families Janet had bullied out, all for lake access, made up violations, daily fines, threats, until they just packed up and left. It made my stomach turn. By Thursday, the harassment began. First, a $50 fine for improper storage because of moving boxes still by the door. Then a $100 unauthorized dock inspection fee. Then a $75 grass violation, even though the lawn hadn't grown an inch. 3 days, $225, all pure fiction. My attorney Linda confirmed that none of these violations even existed in the HOA's own rules. Turns out 2 other families were fighting the same battle right then. That's when I found the real scam. All those families who surrendered their lake rights. A shell company called Clearwater Development Partners bought them up for $25,000 each, then flipped them to a Marina developer named Marcus Williams. Paper trail was solid payments matched the days the families voluntarily gave up their rights. It hit me like a punch. Janet wasn't just a control freak. She was running an organized shakedown, stealing value from her own neighbors. So I did what any tech guy with too much time and a grudge would do, documented everything. Security cameras, time-stamped photos, recorded conversations, every violation notice, every dirty look. I even followed Janet one afternoon to a coffee shop where she met with Marcus Williams himself. Saw her hand off an envelope, caught part of his license plate. It was all coming together. She was getting paid to destroy families, and Marcus was buying stolen rights for pennies on the dollar. Janet must have sensed the tables turning because she called an emergency HOA meeting. She stacked the room with retirees and started her usual dog and pony show, fake stats, fear-mongering about outsiders ruining the lake. But this time I brought Linda. I brought every deed, every violation, every receipt. I stood up, calm as I could, and let the facts do the talking. And then twist you didn't see coming. Mrs. Clark stood up, voice shaking but eyes locked on Janet. She laid it all out, how Janet bullied the Millers, harassed the Parkers, lied about the Williamses. The room shifted. Neighbors who'd stayed silent started nodding, whispering. The spell was breaking. Even the diehards who still trusted Janet began to waver. "You made children leave their homes for money, Janet," Mrs. Clark said. "That's not leadership. That's theft." By now, my business partner Ryan had rolled into town. If Janet thought she was dealing with a pushover, Ryan's presence shut that down. Together, we presented our real plan, a sustainable marina project, dozens of good jobs, community profit sharing, environmental safeguards. We showed the crowd what Janet's backroom deal would have brought: cheap construction, zero jobs, polluted water. Suddenly, people realized they'd almost traded their children's future for Janet's pocket change. Ryan didn't hold back. He laid out emails, bank records, everything right in front of the community. Janet tried to deny it, but you could see her face fall when the evidence was right there in black and white. The vote to remove her as HOA president was unanimous. For the first time, she had to face everyone she'd bullied. And let me tell you, there's nothing quite like seeing justice land where it belongs. It didn't end there. The county launched an investigation, hit Janet with thousands in fines and legal fees. She lost her real estate license, got banned from serving on any HOA board, and poetic justice had to sell her house at a loss. The family she hurt sued and won. The neighborhood was free. The cloud finally lifted. And man, what a turnaround. We set up a transparent HOA. Every big decision went to a vote violation. Notices needed 3 signatures. Meetings were open to everyone. I reluctantly took a board seat just to make sure things stayed honest. The Marina project kicked off and the energy was unreal. Local businesses boomed, jobs opened up, high school kids got work, and property values jumped nearly 40% within a year. Mrs. Clark became a neighborhood legend. The community threw her a celebration, gave her a plaque, but honestly, her real reward was peace. She got to garden without looking over her shoulder. The families who'd been harassed got their fines refunded, all bogus charges tossed out. The real payoff, though, was seeing neighbors come together. People started talking over fences again, pitching ideas for new projects, community gardens, fishing lessons for kids, even a scholarship fund paid for by the Marina profits. Ryan and I started sharing what we learned, consulting for other neighborhoods, writing a book, turning our little war into something bigger, proof that you can beat corruption without becoming a villain yourself. Now, every sunset, I sit on my dock with Mrs. Clark, watching the Marina rise from the water, listening to kids play where silence once hung heavy. Sometimes I think about Janet, how her story ended, and whether she ever understood what she lost. But then I look around and realize the real story isn't about her at all. It's about people standing up, coming together, and proving that even the quietest voice can shake the walls of the loudest bully. So let me ask you, what would you have done? Fought back or kept your head down and hoped it all blew over? If you've got a story about standing up to HOA madness, or you've got thoughts about what's right and wrong in a community, drop them below. Justice isn't always pretty, but it's worth fighting for, and you never know who's got your back until you need them most. Sometimes the best revenge isn't tearing someone down, it's building something they can never take away. And that's exactly what we did at Clearwater Lake.